Hi everyone, welcome back. I am just Shani, and today we're going to be watching scary TikTok story times. I know you missed me, but I'm better now. I was sick, I'm better. I got my voice back. It's there. We're here. Go ahead and check out the product of the day and check out the merch, honey. Product of the day and the merch is in the link in the description. Don't forget to check it out. Click it, click it, click it, click it, click it, click it. So what I need to talk about right now is the fact that I am not going to be posting every day anymore because her business is booming, honey. Business is booming. Now I'm about to partner with the government, so about to get that government cheese, honey. Get that government cheese. So I'll probably be posting like every other day, but I'm still gonna be here. We're gonna be posting. You're gonna see me.
Hey guys, today I'm gonna tell you guys the story time of hearing La Llorona. So basically, I was like 3 or 4 at that time. I don't remember. And my dad and my sister went outside. They were like taking out the trash. Or I don't remember. But it was in Mexico. We live like near the woods. And you know how if you hear crying far, she's close. And I think my mom closed the door. I don't remember why. My sister said she heard my kids. Then my dad started running to the front porch. But the door was locked. And so she hid behind a bush with my dad, and she said that she kept repeating that at least 5 times. The crying kept getting farther, and so my dad and sister could feel her presence, like floating on top of them. My sister and dad started praying, and boom, she was gone. My dad says he still has this same dream of what happened that night. Scary. Honestly, I would have been scared too, especially if I could hear it. And good thing that your dad prayed and it went away and nothing happened. And thank you for sharing your story. And if you guys want to share your story, I'm gonna leave my email here, and my email is gonna be in my bio. Bye guys.
She was so excited to read that story. Bro, that was scary. Like, you was literally that close. You were outside and you were trapped and you couldn't get in the house. Like, that is scary. Go follow these creators. Don't forget. Go follow them on TikTok. That's why their names are up and we're pointing. We're pointing.
When I was 12 years old, I had a best friend named Brenda. Didn't we all? After school, we always went to her house. She lived in a big house on the edge of town. One day, Brenda didn't show up for school. She was absent for the next few days, and I began wondering if there was something wrong with her. After she had missed a whole week of school, I decided to pay her a visit. I cycled all the way across town and arrived at her house just as it was getting dark outside. When I rang the doorbell, I got a shock when the door opened almost immediately. Brenda's mother was standing in the doorway, but there was something very strange about her. Her eyes seemed darker than usual and her hair was hanging loose around her shoulders. I noticed that she was wearing a bathrobe. The most unsettling thing was the way that she was grinning at me. She didn't say a word, she just stood there staring at me with an evil smile playing across her lips. "Is Brenda here?" I asked nervously. She beckoned at me to come in, and before I could say anything, she'd slipped back into the darkened house. As I stepped inside, my eyes strained to see in the darkness, but I wasn't sure where she'd gone. But just then, I heard a strange humming sound. I followed it into the kitchen. I found her there, standing at the kitchen sink with her back towards me. The moment I entered the kitchen, she stopped humming and there was an eerie silence. I took a seat at the kitchen table and waited. She seemed to be taking forever. I spent the next 5 minutes just sitting there wondering what was going on, and then I realised something very odd. The whole time I'd been sitting there, she hadn't moved a muscle. Her back was still towards me and I couldn't see her face. Her hands hung limply by her sides and her head was tilted slightly. Something was very wrong. I stood up nervously and approached her. She remained completely still. Ever so slowly, I moved around her and tried to get a look at her face to see if she was all right. The sight still haunts me to this very day. Her eyes were wide open and she still had that evil grin on her face. I was so freaked out that I couldn't bear to stay in the kitchen a moment longer. Without saying a word, I backed out of the room and made my way towards the front door. I jumped on my bike and began cycling as fast as I could down the long, winding driveway and all the way across town. I didn't stop until I reached the safety of my own house. It wasn't until a few days later that I found out why my friend Brenda had been absent from school. My parents told me that there'd been a tragic death in Brenda's family. "Who died?" I asked. My parents broke the sad news to me and it made my hair stand on end. I was crying from fright. Brenda's mother had died suddenly the night I was called over to her house. Brenda had been at her grandparents' place attending the funeral. Years later, when I was 16, I made a little extra money by working as a babysitter on weekends. One evening, a friend of mine called me and said she knew a family who desperately needed a babysitter. She was busy and wanted to know if I was interested in babysitting for them instead. She told me the parents were really nice, the pay was good, and their 3-year-old daughter was polite and well behaved. I wasn't doing anything important, so I told her I'd be really glad to take the job. That evening, I went to the family's house and met the mother. Her name was Ruth, and she was getting ready to go out for the night with friends. She mentioned that her husband was out of town on business and gave me some numbers to call if I needed to get in touch with her. The night was really easy. I made dinner for the little girl, gave her a bubble bath, and then I got her dressed for bed. It was around midnight when I heard the front door open and footsteps coming down the hallway. I thought it was strange because I hadn't even heard a car pull up. Turning round, I was relieved to see Ruth making her way into the living room where I was sitting watching TV. She never said a word to me, and as she walked past me, I was surprised by how different she looked. Something about her eyes had changed, and she was grinning from ear to ear. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. I knew that evil grin. I'd seen it before, many, many years ago. Ruth sat at the dining table with her back turned towards me. Her hands hung limp by her sides, and her head was cocked to the left. She was humming to herself. "Ruth?" I asked nervously. "Ruth, are you okay?" No answer. "Ruth, you're not alive anymore, are you?" Silence. With shaking hands, I quickly gathered my things and backed out of the room. When I got to the hallway, I opened the front door and I looked outside. There was no car in the driveway. All of a sudden, the eerie silence was broken by the sound of the phone ringing. I didn't want to answer it. I was afraid of what I might hear. For a moment, my hand seemed to hover over the phone. Then I lifted the receiver and put it to my ear. I already knew who it was. It was the police calling to tell me that Ruth had been involved in a car accident an hour ago. She'd been killed on impact. Tears were streaming down my face as I ran upstairs, grabbed Ruth's daughter from her bed and bundled her up in the blanket. As I came back downstairs, I had to pass by the door to the living room. I could still see Ruth sitting at the table with her back to me. Without pausing for a second, I ran out into the night carrying the little girl in my arms.
Nope. Nope. What the frick was that? What was that? We forgot. We went on vacation, came back and forgot we're not supposed to ask questions. Like, no, we don't want to find out. We don't want to find out. What? The first time it happened, bruh. That is scary. The vet, you was a good friend. You did rode your bike all the way to her house. It's nighttime, so you know how far that was. We get out of school. What was it? Elementary school, or whatever. Get out at 2:40. Middle school, it was like three something. So you rode a long way to check on your friend just to get there. Her mama acting crazy as hell. First of all, why did you go in the house? You saw what you saw. This woman looked crazy as hell. You think I was going up in there? I don't know. I did silly things as a silly kid. Did silly things. I might have went in there, but you was just nonchalantly. No, I feel like that part where you're waiting for 5 minutes and you didn't even notice that she wasn't moving is something I would do, because I would be, busying myself. Like, I'm my only child. We know how to sit somewhere silently for a long time. So yeah, I would not have noticed until I noticed and saw it. Like the Grin thing. Y'all seen that movie? What was that movie called? Was it called Smile? Yeah, no. Anybody who smiles too hard, too long, it's not comfortable for me. I'm not going to be around for long. I don't even smile. So, too much. And the babysitting thing, bruh, it happened again. And you know the smile. You've seen the smile before. Oh, you was a brave one. Because I thought she was about to say, I was just going to run and leave the baby there. I'm glad you got the baby, because people would have been on that flight. They would have been on that flight. Like, freak the baby. I'm so glad you grabbed the baby. I'm glad you knew what was going on. You know what I want to ask, but I don't want to find out. I don't want to fork around and find out. So I'm going to just leave it at that. Y'all leave y'all comments. Say what y'all got to say. Y'all ask the questions. Y'all ask it.
3 years ago, I almost pulled over on the side of the road for a murderer. I did a story time when this all happened, but there's an important lesson to be learned, so I'm gonna say it again. I was either a sophomore or junior in high school, and I was driving home from my friend Sophie's house at like 11 in the morning after sleeping over there. I was driving straight on this road, and I was on the right side, as one should be, and there was a car in the ditch, also on the right side, but facing me. I kept driving like another 40 yards, and then there was another car in the ditch facing me on the right side of the road. I was just like, what the heck, that's so weird, because they were definitely too far apart to have collided, and they looked like separate from each other. I kept driving a little bit, but at a much slower pace, and I saw some guy, like older man, probably like 60s or something, waving his hands, like looked like he was trying to get help, like waving people down, and I was like, oh my goodness, should I stop? I kept driving, and I was like, you know, I'm a 16-year-old girl. I really can't help. Maybe I can call 911. But if I get out and help, there's really nothing I can do specifically to help the situation. But then I was home like 5 to 10 minutes later, and I just went on with my day. I told my parents, like I called them the rest of the ride home and told them what happened, so they knew what happened. But then like 2 hours later, my mom had found out that the news was reporting on it. Apparently, some crazy man was intentionally driving his car on the opposite side of the road, running into cars, trying to intentionally crash into them and kill them. That's why there were so many cars on the opposite side of the road facing the wrong way. Then my mom got a text from her friend who lives in a neighborhood really close to where this all happened, and it's a video of the interaction between the police and the guy who was responsible for trying to crash into these people. Turns out the guy in the video was the guy waving me down, trying to look like he was asking for help. Apparently he was trying to get more people to stop so he could hurt people, and he was like swinging this big piece of wood at people, and then in the video he's swinging it at the police officer. I don't believe anybody died because the people whose cars I saw on the opposite side of the road were on that side of the road because they dodged him, I guess. And then once they realized he was crazy, they like ran away and the cops came. It was so scary though, because in the video, the police officer was like telling him to stop swinging, and he just keeps walking towards the officer, swinging the piece of wood, walking towards him, looking like a zombie. He's like waddling towards him. I don't know what I can say on TikTok, but the police officer puts his pew pew up and is like yelling at him to stop, and the guy's not stopping, and he's walking closer and closer, starts swinging the wood at him. And so then to try and get him to like stop, the police officer like shoots at like his legs, like body parts, to get him to like stop moving towards him but not kill him. And it was the most bizarre thing. He's like shooting at his limbs and his legs, and the guy is like not stopping. He's like moving towards him like a zombie. It was like he couldn't even feel the shot. And he was like getting more aggressive and swinging the piece of wood at the officer, and the officer ended up shooting him. He finally like fell to the floor. Watching the video was the weirdest experience ever, because I'd never seen something like that, like not on TV, like actually in real life, having seen that man in person before. So while you might feel guilty not stopping in a situation like that, this is your sign not to. Every time I drive by the intersection where it happened, I think about it. Never stop. Just call 911. Don't be the one to stop.
Word of the wise. We already know our opinions about creepy older men. Older men are just creepy to me. I'm just like, men in general is just like borderline. Like, you know what I'm saying? But older men are creepy to me. I'm not like, it's cute. It's cute that he got that many chances. I wonder what color he was. That he got that many chances before he got pew pew pew. You know what I'm saying? He shot at his legs. Like it could just be like that was a good cop. But I've heard some people who was a certain, you know, who didn't get that many chances. They're not even in danger. They're not even doing anything dangerous. He over here swinging some wood, like coming at you, not stopping full force. Like, I'm about to hurt you. Like, that's cute, you know. But yeah, friends, do not pull over, especially if you're a female. Why are we pulling out for people? You are a female. Okay, I love equal rights. I love that. But let's be real. Let's just think about the facts. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be safe out here. You can't be stopping for no grown butt man. Like, you can't be stopping for nobody. No woman, no man, no kids. Like, don't stop for no kids, honey. Like, I think that's like a thing. Okay, I think we all know that if you see a kid on the side of the road, you can stop, you know, I guess. But call the cops. Call the cops. If anybody's on the side of the road, call the cops. That's their job. They're getting paid. We're paying them to do this job, so let's let them do it, okay? So, word to the wise. Do not stop for nobody on the side of the road. as a woman. I feel like as a man, you can't really do that either because there's people who unalive men. Like, nobody's safe out here. So just be careful. Think before you do. Call the cops. That's why they're here. And subscribe.